I'd like to call the work session meeting at 6 o'clock to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Romanek.
Here.
Commissioner Hewitt.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sui.
Here.
Commissioner Watson.
Here.
Commissioner Ranello.
Present.
Please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975, was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by statute. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, just the addition of discussion item number 2 for 15th Street Warehouse Material Storage and Replacement.
Okay, thank you. Public comment on agenda items only. Anybody would like to address the commission on the work session agenda items, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Seeing nobody, I'll close public comment. Discussion of commissioners. I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say this is Commissioner Watson's delinquent solid waste utility fee.
That is correct.
I guess right.
I just wanted to go over some of the items discussed at the meeting last Monday, May 13th, or on Monday, May 13th. In the meeting, we discussed concerns and issues presented with the creation of the solid waste utility. This included evaluating go-over ideas to extend provided services to ratepayers, creation of new forms for new customers, additional cart request forms, account concern sheets, the creation of bulk waste scheduling confirmation numbers, communication with code enforcement, sharing bulk waste scheduling, and the possible creation of the alleyway cleanups, which we'll talk about that at a later time. That was just an item that was brought up while we had everybody there. The most concerning issue discussed was the unpaid or the delinquent payments for the solid waste utility. Currently, delinquent notices for unpaid quarterly payments are sent out between the 15th and 21st following the due dates: February 1st, May 1st, August 1st, and November 1st. Following the initial notice, a notice continues to be sent out each quarter when the account is unpaid. Any balance over $20 is eligible for tax sale. Tax sale notices will be sent yearly. Beginning in November, for any outstanding charges in 2024, and should a property be placed in a tax lien sale, the purchaser can hold the lien for 2 years. After the 2 years, the foreclosure process can commence. Once a tax sale certificate is issued, if the property owner falls behind on current charges, the lien holder may pay those fees as well as add to their lien. Getting into discussion of the late fees, additional to the annual $240 utility bill, we need to consider the fee. If we can apply this, it is not to punish or give residents incentive to pay their bills. The late fee will assist with covering costs associated with the time and material to send out and follow up on the late notices. Just to give you an idea, the first quarter outstanding balance is over $70,000. The second quarter outstanding balance is over $200,000, totaling $270,000, $854.62. This past March, delinquent notices were sent out. This process included printing all the notices, manually sorting them, sending notices through a mail insert machine, and finally delivering the notices to the post office. The 3,200 late notices sent out was roughly a 4-hour process, included assistance from multiple personnel. Another round of delinquent notice for the second quarter solid waste utility bill is being prepared this week, totaling 3,172 notices. As this recurring cost develops, potentially ratepayers paying their bills on time may absorb the cost with rate increases. To me, it's unacceptable, and those creating extra charge and extra work for the material and time spent on that should not be paying. With that, currently, this is only in discussion, but before we move forward investigating implementation, I would like to hear everybody's input.
So that's roughly a third of all the locations or the areas that we do collect from the solid waste utilities. That 3,000 number. That's roughly you'd say roughly a third of all the, not residents, but we had a name for them. Because wasn't there like 9,000 and some?
Yeah, 9,300. Yep.
So roughly a third.
correct.
Do you guys know the location of those? Well,
No.
obviously.
I mean, I would have to follow
It's on
up on
file.
that.
Yeah. But I'm just wondering if there's a certain area.
I talked to the tax collector today. She had two opinions. One, consider the amount of work that it would take to input the late fees into the system. Each one has to be entered by hand. So, talking a significant number of hours to enter those late fees. And she also thinks that it may straighten out as time goes on and people get used to this. It's been, what, 5 months? Not even really. So, if you're gonna make a late fee, you're gonna have to make it pay for all that. I don't know how much it would make it. I think if they're not paying the $240, they're probably not gonna pay $265. You know, $65 or $75, I don't know. But, I don't know if you wanna give it a chance to see if it catches up.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about this before, making changes. Obviously, this was a problem that needed to be presented to all of you. You know, so moving forward, we gotta discuss on what may come about, you know, to try to make these change. Education is something that we're trying to work on, trying to let everybody know when it's gonna be done. Reoccurring notices are gonna try to be sent out through the Recycling Coach app and also on the website to try to help that. You know, there is gonna be a balance at the end of the year for the time spent for these late notices. I just don't feel it's appropriate for those paying the bill on time to absorb those costs. Like I said, it wasn't necessarily to incentivize people to pay their bill. It was more so to cover the cost of the time spent put in there. And obviously, whatever we decide to make that late fee, it'd be that.
So you wanna wait another quarter and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to bring it up. I wanted everybody's input and see where we can go from there.
Yeah, because, you know, I think wait for the summertime, you know, I don't assume anything, but, yeah, I would agree, wait another quarter, just revisit this and see, maybe that number does go down now that we have talked about it, that there's 3,000 plus delinquent or unpaid, properties here.
A big concern would obviously be at the end of the year, we don't have enough money to pay ACUA. So,
Yeah. But,
but yeah, that's all I had for that.
good, thank you for the information. Discussion item number 2, 15th Street Warehouse Material Storage and Replacement.
So, sale's not done yet. Looks like it's gonna be done, but again, the sale's not complete yet. When it is done, we have to move relatively quickly. I know Commissioners Hewitt and Watson were working on a place, and I just wondered if they could give the commission an update.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea here. Kind of will let everybody know where we are with that. Obviously, with the upcoming sale of 15th Street Warehouse, we've been trying to find a home for materials, equipment, and the files currently stored at the warehouse. Our main goals were to provide warehouse relocation in a convenient and easily accessible location within city limits. We were trying to find an option to prevent disruption of any rateables received, find a permanent location to prevent future relocation of departments, find a cost-effective location, have enough square footage for inside storage, employee parking and visitor parking, if there was any, and have an outside area available for equipment. Just to fill everybody in, I'm not going to go give names, I'm just going to give areas. 4 buildings have been considered in the Millville area. 1 building has been eliminated as it's been decided not to sell. 3 locations have been toured. A warehouse in the airport area, a building near Center City, and a building off of East Main Street. Prior to most recent information, it was thought that leasing a building near the airport was our best choice. The attempt was to lease a warehouse at 21,000 square feet with 3 overhead doors in the front and in the back of the building, totaling 6 overhead doors. The lease was going to be for $1 for the unofficial proposal of 20 years, with the city to invest on upgrading the warehouse. A request was made to add a small office area for bathrooms and a break room, and a climate-controlled storage area to lease and add on an additional 5 years to the initial proposal of the 20. So, $1 lease for 25 years with a $250,000 investment. That would be $837 per month for 25 years. This option did not interrupt any rateables received to the city. It had plenty of storage area, large garage doors, was cost efficient, and easily accessible within the city limits. Obviously, this was not going to be permanent. During conversation and correspondence, the city received news of an overlook or misunderstanding from the people that we were working with. We have decided not to pursue this option as the terms changed based on strict rules or guidelines that must be followed and further issues found with the building. New investment totals exceeded $500,000. For this type of investment, the lease agreement did not make sense moving forward. The last two buildings considered, one near Center City and one off of East Main Street, both buildings had limited access for large vehicles. Access use was not adequate due to building layout or property layout. Although both buildings were in a good location and could be permanent placement for the city departments, purchasing either of these buildings would interrupt current ratables received for water, sewer, and taxes. The determining factor is the cost. The Center City location at 16,603 square feet, only one overhead door with limited access in the back of the building. The layout on the inside will limit vehicles or equipment in and out on half of the building. This property also included a small open neighboring property. The asking price was $1.5 million. Interrupted ratables received to the city if purchased would be $7,865.73, including taxes, water, and sewer. For the main building, that is for the main building. For the small neighboring property, it was $1,070.30. The total interrupted ratables would be $8,936.03 annually. The building off East Main Street was 10,500 square feet. This building did have a loading dock and two overhead doors. The asking price was $1.6 million. The interrupted ratables, if purchased, would be $9,854.54 annually. That would to include water, sewer, and taxes. In my opinion, the idea behind the sale of the 15th Street warehouse is to receive the money for the sale and to increase ratables received. To purchase a building that would interfere with ratables already being received simply does not make sense. The city has made large investments and has made progress with redevelopment, all with the goal to increase ratables. A one-time sale of a building helps this year. The continuous flow of received ratables every year is essential. My recommendation is to find temporary storage. We should ask other city departments if space is available for temporary use. Streets and Roads has offered assistance with some storage. Room is available for the new bucket truck coming, and some space is available for outside storage. I know the sewer utility has multiple bays and garage spaces. Some of the equipment stored at the sewer utility only needs to be inside due to the attached water tanks. So freezing is a concern. Obviously, with warmer weather, we don't need to worry about that. That equipment can be removed for temporary storage. I have not been to the water department for a long time, but we can ask them if they have any available space for inside storage as well. I did price out some shipping containers. New containers vary in size, but the 40-foot high-top container new was $5,200. The city received quotes for used shipping containers as low as $2,600 for 40-foot containers. These containers are watertight. Water and sewer may be interested in purchasing some of these containers using their budget. We could temporarily store these containers on city-owned property, and when we find a permanent solution, the water and sewer utility will have available space so they can organize and clean up their work areas. Temporary storage allows us the chance to completely vacate the 15th Street warehouse without leasing anything from the new developers. It also gives us time to find a permanent solution that does not interfere with ratables. Time has ran out, and I believe being rushed into a decision is a bad business. In conclusion, following temporary placement material, equipment, and files, I recommend we consider building pole barns on already owned city property. I have requested vendor names for pole buildings and storage structures listed on any co-ops or state contracts to the QPA. So that's kind of like our conclusion to what we found out.
Well, I checked with the purchasing agent. There's no pole barns on the co-op, so once we get over the threshold for the bid limit, you're gonna have to go out for bid. So you're looking at least, if everything goes perfectly, you're probably looking at 75 days if everything goes perfectly. Keep in mind that every month, after 2 months that we have stuff in that warehouse, it's $67,500 a month. If you want to build something new, I don't know what your long-term solution is. If you're going to buy something, it's going to be taking away a rateable. If you're going to build something new, then we should have never sold 15th Street, because when we pay rate, we're never going to build anything. Whatever you're going to do, hurry up.
Well, I believe this is a joint decision, first off, and I asked
Well, I know, but I mean, I asked you.
I did ask the QPA.
You have temporary, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying we got to hurry up.
I understand that, and that's why I believe that we should hurry up and try to find temporary storage.
And
Using
also-
space that we already have at
also-
other departments, and the shipping containers can be delivered very quickly.
Also, you need to look long-term, for what happens if we buy a place and maybe there's future development there, as well as when you say it's gonna take a rateable off, well, we're putting a rateable on when we sold 15th Street. As our economic developer had stated for the 2 years that he was here, and Ray did a great job, if you happen to be listening, probably not, you're probably on vacation. Jobs and ratables were the first two goals, with the first being jobs and ratables. So I know one location, I guess they're going out of business, right, the one off of Main Street. So no jobs there, right? You're not losing any if we got that. The other one is one job. 15th Street, I think the paperwork says, what, 20, I think. You reviewed it today, right, Marissa? I don't know if you
Yeah.
had the number of jobs. So the temporary stuff is all great, but like you said, it's temporary, so you're gonna lay out money for temporary stuff, and then we're gonna need permanent stuff later anyway. Nothing's getting cheaper. You see the rate of inflation, so we need to consider that, and we probably need to have another discussion on next work session. I know you've been reviewing all the paperwork, so I guess that's where we're at.
Oh, it's guaranteed money that's coming in right now. We were selling the 15th Street warehouse, and again, it's a one-time sale. It's going to help this year, but it's not going to help
No,
anytime
it's
after
not gonna
that.
help like that anyway. It's has to be used for capital improvements. Has to be used for capital. So there's stuff we can switch around, but it's for capital. It's gotta be correct. It's gotta be used for capital improvements. You're not gonna be able to use it to pay salary and wages,
Mhm.
right? So you have to keep that in mind.
But ratables helps out with that, right?
Ratables helps out.
Yep. So we're going to get ratables from the 15th Street sale,
Correct.
and if we don't purchase any other building that receives ratables.
And keep in mind, later on down the road, hopefully we develop where the water department is now, if you're talking about out in back of this building. So that's slated for long-term development because kind of a waste of good riverfront property. Just keep that in mind. And I mean, I know we have to talk about it more, but I just wanted to see where you guys were at.
Yep. Well, I think I requested to put this on the agenda, right? So, it's me reaching out to everybody here to let us know that me and Kirk did our due diligence. We tried to find an option for us, and obviously we're pressed for time, and I don't think rushing into this decision is good. We need to hurry up. We're against the timeline. We should find temporary storage so we don't have, those large payments to the developer, and we should not interfere with any guaranteed ratables coming in.
I agree that there's a timeline. You should, excuse me, during the wonderful allergy season for everybody. I agree it shouldn't be, on the back burner. It's more prudent than anything, but no need to rush. We all need to make valuable, judgmental decisions with all facts. And yes, because there'd be some that you remove ratables, but are ratables going to come in elsewhere throughout the city? Yes, as well. So it's, you got a Rubik's Cube that you're working with, and I have a very hard time figuring out a Rubik's Cube. But you got to figure it out one way. And, I think what you just laid out for us is there's many avenues, and which avenue will lead to the right direction is the most difficult decision to make and figure out. But I believe there is areas. I'm not fond of temporary because it's just temporary. We're just spending money here and now for what eventually has to be done. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I will say this, it's not like this should be a surprise. If any of you, I know you attended one redevelopment meeting, Kirk, you've attended a few, and Chris,
Yep.
you've been the one, but you've attended a couple, so that's been on that agenda for a year,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And
it's-
so.
Streets and Roads have completely vacated that area. We were prepped and ready. We started in late February. I reached out to the other departments trying to offer some help here. We simply ran out of time. There wasn't a lot of good options, especially in the city limits. So I'm not going to pay for an overpriced building. And I'm not going to interfere with ratables that we already received. That's the goal, increase ratables. Why would we interfere with that? Doesn't make sense. But that's my input.
Ideally, like Commissioner Watkins said, the airport would have been ideal, but as you know, Vice Mayor, somebody got up on the roof of the building. I think all of us have been out to that building at one time or another, along with other people in the city. But once somebody got there and looked at the structure of the building, even with the length of the contract going sideways and everything else, that was a game changer there, unfortunately, because that would have housed every single thing we need to house plus. And then we started getting into contract situations.
But when you guys mentioned that building, instead of guessing, I had engineering go out there with a contractor.
Yep.
And get up on the roof and inspect the interior. And just the roof alone is in excess of $1 million
Yeah.
to repair. Asbestos in the building, broken water system in the building. And plus it's technically our building.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
airport
that's-
leases it
and
from
that's
us,
just- yep,
and
yep.
they want a ridiculous amount of money for us to lease it from them.
Have you had engineering go over and inspect the gym building?
Yeah, I had them over there.
Anything come back from that?
No. If you want, I'll send them over there again with a contractor if you like. It's up to you.
With that building, we had to look at cost to get it up to code and everything. I don't remember
Well, you're
seeing
gonna get it.
extinguishers and stuff like that in there.
You have a warehouse that has a certificate of occupancy, so when I check with a construction official, if it's a warehouse already and we're using it for a warehouse, we can get a continuing
Okay.
certificate of occupancy. So it's not a change of use.
There's no need to send the engineering department back. Whatever report that they have or findings that they have, you could just send it
Well,
to
I
me
don't
by
think I had
email.
them do an official inspection until you guys decided if you wanted to use it or you didn't. So if you want that, I will do it. I'll have engineering do that. I'm more than happy to do that to any building you want to do that with. Do you want me to do that or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all I know, like with temporary storage, we have spot firehouse for temporary storage. We have spot right down the hill here next to the police department for temporary storage. When I say fire department, I'm talking EMS also.
Talking outside?
Talking C boxes, temporary C boxes, talking C boxes to get us out of 15th Street, to get us out of that $67,000 a month. Because yes, the time is ticking, and I'm going to be right out front and blunt. There is no way in the world, by the time you take public property, parks and recreation, just one department, and put the 42 or 43 pieces of equipment over there. Not granted, not all has to go inside.
Like the trucks, right? They don't have to go inside.
Where else, where's the fire
There's-
department stuff gonna go? Where is the impound department gonna go for the police department? That has to be secure at all times.
Well, there's a lot to other
We've all
consider.
been
I mean,
there.
you're-
The impound is getting moved over next to the to the pole barn at 15th Street. Was the original plan, unless I don't know if you changed it or not.
That was, I'm not aware of that till right now.
Well, you got the fencing and everything out there now. We're talking about where the razor wire is.
Which
When
the
you say the impound lot,
fence install or fence movement would cost money.
But I say, this is the first time I'm hearing about that.
Yeah, there's other things to consider. You're talking about a building. You're
Absolutely.
saying that you're not saying, all right, we don't need to park the trucks or trailers in there. And Parks Department, for efficiency to run their department efficient, they leave their equipment in their trucks while it's stored in the 15th Street
do
warehouse.
they? Because when I went out there the other day, it wasn't in the trucks.
Oh,
The
I was-
mowers weren't on the trailers.
I was out there yesterday. They had blowers, leaf blowers, weed whackers, all in the trucks ready to roll.
Well, that was last week, man. The administrator were out there taking measurements and whatnot.
Obviously,
I'm not saying that's not ideal. Ideally, it's like that.
nothing's going to be free, but
No.
whatever is cost effective is obviously the end goal, and whatever makes not whatever, but what is cost effective, and completing this goal is the priority of this. We can't, we don't want to spend the 67.5 for fining every month, but temporary is temporary. It's I can pull up the Webster's for that. So I don't think temporary is the right answer.
Just let me remind you guys of one thing, whether it's temporary or permanent, right? We put aside $2 million in a bond
And it'll go away quick.
so that we could make this move happen quickly. We were smart enough to plan ahead for that. So, and I would ask any of you, if it were your house and you could sell it for $6 million and you had to spend $2 million and you got to put $4 million in your pocket, would you do it or not? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. I guess we better put this on for the next work session again, right?
You do
What
what
do
you
you think?
will.
Well, I'm asking you, I'm not telling you.
June 5th, it's 2 weeks, right?
I mean, we need to keep having discussions about it till we make a decision.
I agree.
We can't do it in the back room, so we gotta do it out
No.
here.
I think it should be made clear that after reading that ordinance, collectively, everybody should have known that leasing wasn't an option. If you look at the language of that ordinance, it doesn't say anything about leasing or renting. It doesn't appear to be an option. And we should have collectively known that.
Oh, you're talking about leasing it for $1, even if it wasn't to replace the 15th Street building warehouse, leasing, how many square foot was it? 21,000 square feet for $1. It seemed like a pretty good deal at the time.
Well,
Agreed,
if that
agreed,
would work, that would've been fine.
agreed. It
Right,
would have,
if
it
it
would have been
worked.
wonderful if it would have
And with
worked.
recent information that we received, it didn't work.
I was, you know,
I get it.
I was
I
out
know
there
you
with
got
you
that
guys.
information.
I definitely
And
thought
that did
that
not
was a
fall
good
apart
option.
through anybody's fault in these 5
It
chairs.
was not on the city.
No, it was not.
And again, you're saying temporary storage. I mean, I would rather temporarily have storage for 6 months to give Parks Department, to give, the court, to give the police, OEM, permanent location so they don't have to move again. And again, without interfering with any rateables, using property that we already own, using the $2 million. Again, we're selling this structure for $6.5 million.
Uh-huh.
We're going to spend
Well,
$2
we're
million.
against that, it's about
Right? We could spend $2 million on property that we already own without interfering with the $10,000 a year from the rateables received from the other facilities. I would rather have $10,000 a year, spend the $2 million, and pocket the $4 million.
Well, right now, I think we could all collectively agree that the clock is ticking, so,
We did get that out of it.
yes.
And we do need to keep
Yeah.
on top of this in meetings because, as we all know, there's no more than 2 of us together. Because the big clock is ticking right now. When it finally is sold, now the clock gets awful small. So yes, we need to stay on this here where we can all talk about it.
I agree.
And as far as I know, close it with this or start more conversation.
Well,
There is no other option except for C boxes temporary till we can get something built.
that's in
You
conclusion.
can buy C boxes for $5,000, we could always use them. It's not
Like I
like we're
said,
gonna
you
throw them in the
can offer
trash.
it to other departments that have the budget to spend. I'm sure they'll want the extra space when we're done using them.
Yeah, it's not like do you rent them for 10 months a year and spend almost as much as just buying them outright and they're there, I don't know. That's why we gotta keep conversing here as the 5 of us where we can legally do it. There's no other buildings to look at. There was one other on the list, but that building is not for sale. That's out on South Second Street.
Well, just roll right into discussion of the commissioners, so. that's
Nothing
you.
now.
Commissioner Watson?
Yeah, with the sale of the 15th Street, I was advised from my department to replace a storage area for DGA and Cold Patch. We're going to need a 30-foot wide by 40-foot long by 14-foot 6 inches high pavilion. This is required by the DEP for coverage. We do have a quote, but it's expired. It's about $34,000. That's all I have.
Commissioner Ranella?
Nothing at this time.
Vice Mayor Stewie?
Nothing at this time.
I do not have anything else to discuss during this work session. Any new business, Madam Clerk?
No, Mayor.
We have now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone who would like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name and address, your concerns. Please limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes. Seeing nobody, I will close public. Oh,
Mayor.
seeing Mary Messick, I will keep it open.
Sorry, age doesn't help. Mary Messick here of Millville. My only concern is, I'm not griping or complaining that there's a late fee for people who aren't paying the bill directly on time, but has the commission taken into consideration those that are living on a shoestring of a budget when the taxes are taking over a little over half their pay that they get? so that the month that the taxes are due, they pay the tax, and the following month, they'll take care of their water and sewage and their tax bill? Has that taken any consideration? And how is that going to affect your thought on who's getting the penalty for paying their water and sewage and tax bill late and all? And I thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Well, like with that said, it wasn't necessarily to punish or, incentivize people for paying the bill on time. Everybody's on a tight budget. But those that do pay the bill on time with the same tight budget shouldn't be punished for those who don't. So I don't believe if this type of, work put in and the materials used to send out these late notices, I don't believe that the people that are paying these bills on time should absorb those costs.
Just one thing to consider, so when you have the elderly that freeze their taxes and the disabled vets that don't pay taxes, when we started the trash utility, now they have that bill to pay. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, just letting you guys know that that's the people I got a few complaints from.
Yeah, I mean, I can
So-
reference the newspaper today.
No, I get it,
I mean,
exactly.
there's a township being sued right now because they don't have a solids waste utility and they're asking for reimbursements.
Glass
And,
that glass problem.
Yes, and at least we're not going through that right now.
Dodge that bullet.
Seeing no one else, I close the public comment portion. Any last, nothing? Need a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.